So here we are. We're on another episode of Badass Banking. I've got a masked man on right now. He is David Gerbino. He is a consultant, advisor, a marketer, a man of many traits. And more importantly to me, he's one of the original members of the FinTech Mafia and one of the first people I met in this strange world we call social media. David, how are you? I see you have a mask on today, huh?
Yeah, just want to remind people you got to wear a mask. You got to wear a mask at all
There,
times.
there you go.
And
Double protection.
yeah, and you got to protect, you got to promote the brands that you're a fan of. In this
Now, what
case,
does it say?
DTNS, Daily Tech
Okay.
News Show. It's
There
a
you go.
3-minute daily blog on tech.
Is
Google
that
it.
something? Is that something you're doing?
No, no,
No.
I can call myself an associate producer.
Hey,
They'll back me up on that, but that's because I
oh,
give them $10 a month on Patreon. So.
oh, okay, okay. So tell us what you're up to these days, or maybe what you're not up to today, because these are some strange times we're living in.
Yeah, just wrapped up an engagement with Beyond the Arc, which is a consulting firm. We had a Midwest bank client who was very into doing some things that banks don't do. Use data, AI, just really wanting to get things to the next level. Something that was very interesting that was led top down, which is always refreshing to see. Also partnered up with cloud partners, just waiting for things to get triggered there. COVID kind of put a big slowdown in those kinds of efforts. So that's
Yeah,
been, my challenge as a solo consultant, hooking up with other firms, just, waiting for those jobs to get triggered. So
yeah.
that's always the fun challenge.
So talk about your background and like the types of jobs you're looking for and some of the consulting.
So, yeah, I've always been a data junkie, and that's just how my training was, out of college. You know, Back when I left college, anybody knew who had a marketing degree had a Bachelor of Arts degree. I had a Bachelor of Science degree. We were programming, we were building computer models, we were building databases. And so that's just been my forte. So, throughout my entire career, I wasn't an arts and crafts marketer. It was all about data. And, my training was in the old legacy direct marketing industry. And, when you hear all these digital people saying, oh, all this stuff with digital and it's data driven, there's generations of people who were doing that in another paradigm. And, there was a point in time when we could, as a vendor or as a brand, have all the data because that's just how big data was back in the day. Now
Yep.
we can't do that. But we're the ones who use data to pave the way for the likes of Google and Facebook, and the challenges that these companies are going through on privacy. These are decades old challenges that were going on back in the day. And so it's just, there's more. And so I brought that into banking when I first got into banking. I got first into banking when Nations Bank bought Bowman's Bank Shares, which was one of the first big multi-billion-dollar mergers. And the final one I worked on for them was when Nations Bank bought Bank of America. And so, there we were building custom databases to give customers exactly what was changing for them. So we were building one-to-one data-driven communications in and around merger communications, where we could also do upsell and cross-sell, not just legal communications. So that's been my forte, using data to drive engagement, to drive acquisition. And then in the banking space, it was all about building profitability models and iterating on those to really push retail banking and even getting into the small banking, commercial banking space to really drive value by use of data. And, a skill set that I have that most banks don't have. And, that's where I try to slot in and try to advise and help.
Yeah, I mean, you were no doubt ahead of your time, and banks are still struggling with data. They've got a lot of data. Whether it's the
Yeah.
right data, I don't know. They don't have a lot of information, which is kind of ironic. My bank knows a lot about me, yet I don't see them leveraging that. They continue to offer me products that I don't need. They're offering my 529. Both my kids, I've got one kid that's a senior in college, and the other's been out for 2 years. I sure as hell don't need a 529.
Yeah.
I'm also getting pitched for retirement products. I am retired. I'm 58.
It's funny. And, I don't like to speak negatively, but it's just lazy. And I say lazy because if you're being put in a role to do these things, spend a little time and learn. You know, that's what it's about. I mean, you know, for my passion plays, it's voice has always fascinated me. So I have just done a deep dive into voice and, you know, messed around and build a couple of little private Alexa skills. And now I want to try to go see how I can do the same thing on the Google stack, because I am an Android person, and, you know, a Google person. You know, I'm talking to you today with my business class Chromebook. You know, I rock a Pixel phone, and so that's, you know, there are these other paradigms, and then, you know, you see many brands, including banks, who they want to get into a voice, and they dabble and they go, oh, we'll do a skill, we'll do this, and, you know, an Alexa skill. That's not a voice strategy. You know,
Right.
why haven't you 2 or 3 years ago voice enabled your website and done those things? And you have bankers out there who think websites are dead. You know, and they think that money shouldn't be spent there, and it's all about, you know, the internet banking platform and the mobile banking platform. You know, maybe, but you still need a content play. You need to be able to be searchable and discovery, and that's a stack that you can own versus, you know, letting a vendor do that for you. Probably not the wisest thing at this point in time. You know, and now, you know, one of the big programming things going on is, you know, in the visual development space, and in, you know, the big term on Twitter is no code, and there's an opportunity now for entrepreneurs and people inside brands with some of the enterprise class tools, is to actually do programming without being a programmer. Yes, you need to know logic and need to understand data, but there's a lot a person can do, before you actually need to go to that next step of bringing in people with those coding skills. And it's going to level the playing field. And, you know, we're already starting to see a couple of those brands in the banking space, and some already putting content out on the financial brand.
Mhm.
Not sure if they're advertising there, but they're putting content out there. And so it's happening. And that's what marketers need to do. Continue to educate yourself and build out your skills, and, you know, be a master at Excel. I mean, that's not going to cost you a lot of money to take a couple Udemy courses. That's,
Yeah.
you know, what marketers need to do. You know, in my case, I got to stop talking about it. And, you know, I've decided maybe I should put some, you know, propose some articles to the financial brand, which I've been sketching out some, and, you know, hopefully they'll meet their quality, because their quality and standards are very high.
Yep.
And maybe I can get some stuff out there to, you know, to help others to get themselves motivated to build out their skill sets.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. Sounds like the right thing to be doing at the right time. So, are there any fintechs or bankers or banks that you really admire right now that you think are kind of hot properties?
Sure. So I was at a very large voice conference last summer, and I got to finally meet the people behind Bond.ai, and they have
Mhm.
this really cool platform. And on Monday, I got to see a sneak peek of their account opening solution, which, again, I don't believe it's live yet, but I was impressed. It was simple, it was quick, and the there was a recent chart. I think it came out of the UK, where they were showing, you know, the length of time and clicks and touch points to open accounts. And, you know, of course, bottom of the list was HSBC, if I remember correctly, and up at the top was Monzo and Revolut, because they were super quick. And
Mhm.
that's where the Bond AI team wanted to bring their solution. They wanted to be the top of that list. And so, you know, their first few banks who adopt that are going to have something unique and special. And, you know, it's one of those things that I can remember 15 years ago, or I'll go back one further. In 2004, when I started at Provident Bank, I was trying to get a solution there. And, yeah, I remember at the time, I think it was Citibank was doing something cool, because they were doing funding at the
Mhm.
account opening process. And I was like, we need to be doing that. And, you know, nobody just, they didn't quite get it at that point in time. And then it was, let's jump in and do this. But the tools were horrible. The solutions were horrible. And what the big vendors were doing was just, you know, a big misstep. Um, and, you know, hopefully that's finally resolved itself. You know, I've been reading a lot on the Jack Henry page, where they put you know, your former Gzio APIs or the Banno APIs,
Mhm.
and what they're doing there. And it's a huge step up from their old J Exchange. I mean, I can speak to this a little bit because I was at a Jack Henry bank, and we made use of their, what I call legacy APIs, which was J Exchange, you know, not the
Mhm.
modern web um, APIs, but an API nonetheless. And some of the things we're able to do with developers, when they're telling us 3 years to get on a development cycle and 2 years to go build it out, then you say, oh, they have this API. Oh, we can knock that out in a couple of weeks. We just need to get, developers will be in 6 months, and we can, as long as it's published correctly, we can knock it out in weeks. Again, that's the first beta prototype. But the point is, that's where we need to be thinking. And it's just shocking to me that with these thousands and thousands of banks and credit unions, why did this not all happen and be ubiquitous before the pandemic? And now everybody's scrambling. It doesn't make business sense to me. And that part is just shocking to me.
Well, at least they're moving forward now. That's the good sign. I mean, the industry has moved slowly. And again, I think that's part of it. The result of it being a commodity, right? Consumers have had low expectations, generally speaking. Banking is banking. It's a chore. It's not unlike, visiting the dentist or going to the post office. Dentists have started creating better experiences. I've actually heard consumers say they'd rather go to the dentist than go to the bank, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, it's funny you mention that. I mean, I remember being blown away, and this is probably like 10 years ago, maybe even longer. I had to have a tooth pulled, and the high-tech office, everything was quick. It was efficient. I got to watch I was there a while. I got to watch hours of ESPN. I mean, everything was all video displays. But the X-rays were digital. Everything was just, again, because I'm a techie. I was probably there a little too long because I was talking with the team there, because it was fascinating and awesome, and it was modern, and it just made an overall better experience. And again, I don't mean to come off as knocking bankers and credit union folks, because when certain risk-based things, that's where they move quickly. When I saw BSA changes coming in super quick, they moved fast, because it was always more on the risk side. But I just wish that just across the board, there was just a better use of data and math behind profitability, because you can't rely on finance, because finance looks at cost centers. They don't look at the relationship. And so they're not seeing the full picture of profitability. They're just seeing a picture of profitability, and the things that can be done there, and to just improve are immense. And that's the gateway drug to data across the board for all. But as you've seen probably back in your Geezeo days trying to go in, all too often, marketing is just seen as a bunch of people do tchotchkes and get commercial lenders, golf tees and golf balls and umbrellas, and not the team that generates revenue.
Marketing's evolving, and that's exciting too. Well, listen, we're running out of time right now. I'm going to post all your contact info in the link below. Is that good with you?
Sounds great.
And you're looking for more consulting gigs. You're also looking to advise startups. There's a number of startups out there that are working on that data quandary right now. And as soon as you get some articles, send them my way too. That's exciting that you're doing some work with Financial Brand. I mean, that's kind of like the top of the food chart in fintech and FinServe news right now. So that's all good. All right, I'll put your stuff down below, and I do appreciate your time today. You're still in New York, right?
Yep.
You're upstate?
Yeah, an hour north of the city.
Yeah. Do you get in the city at all much these days?
Not this. Well, I was there, and the last time I was in the city actually was 11FS's After Dark. It was the last time I was in the city. And the other events, a couple of no-code events that I wanted to go to got canceled. A couple of music things I wanted to see were canceled. So I got to see a really cool concert of an up-and-coming band called The Warning, three sisters out of Power Trio out of Mexico, phenomenally talented, called The Warning. Got to see that in December. But all the stuff that I want to do this year, bands are waiting.
It's tough. Well, hopefully we'll get together soon. We'll get there and get out there in the real world instead of in these virtual living rooms. Anyway, I appreciate it. I'll put your info down below, and we'll talk real soon. If you're watching the show, like, dislike, comment. This is all about engagement. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you hate my show. I don't care. I just want you guys to all see the people behind the brands, and understand this is a very collaborative community, and you can have
absolutely.
You have an opportunity to be part of it, right? That's what we want.
I want people to subscribe, man. I've watched just about every video now. There may be a couple that I haven't got to yet. I got
Shevlin on next week.
Cool.
I got to think of a special virtual backdrop for him. I don't know. What
Yeah,
I'm
you
gonna-
do. I like the one you had previously.
Or I'm going to invite people to crash it.
Oh, even better. Zoom bomb. Zoom
Maybe
bomb.
even his wife.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be pretty.
Oh, and I
fun.
got to meet her at the 11FS After Dark event.
Yeah, I met her too.
That was
All right,
the last
listen,
time.
David, it's been great talking to you.